Hey, everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers postgame presented by Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me live in the Xfinity mobile studio, it's Steve Jacot. Woo! What a great game that was. What an awesome way to spend a Saturday night, Steve.
Bill, what's the opposite of a woo? It's like a ooh, like whatever it was. It was the opposite of a woo tonight. And I'll tell you what, as far as like the team as a whole goes, like I've seen them play worse games. Like it wasn't great, but like I've seen them play worse games. But I think we're going to talk a lot about the failings of Sam Ersson tonight. And I don't know if I've seen him just have more of a turd out there. This game was just atrocious from Ersson's standpoint. I wanted to avoid the talk about needing to replace the backup goaltender as much as possible this season because the Flyers have bigger fish to fry. But after a game like this, I really do have to wonder about doing something like that because let's see what that old save percentage was tonight. It was 696.
Oh, that's it? I thought it would be worse.
16 saves on 23 shots.
We will get plenty into Sam Ersson. He will come up. Trust me, that will happen in the near future. First, I just got to tell everyone out there about the Die Hard program. If you have always wanted to be a Die Hard member, well, with the Flyers in the playoffs. No, not after efforts like tonight. No. With the Eagles in the playoffs, the Flyers are over the halfway point. Phillies coverage, Sixers coverage, whatever you're looking for, we do it best here at PHLY, and you can get all of it for just $36 for the year. That's right. You get all the advantages of being a diehard, access to all of our premium written content, access to the Discord, discount on merch and events, and a free shirt. All for the low price of $36 for your first year. So sign up now at allphly.com. Yeah, Steve.
A Brian Westbrook number right there. That's a good one.
I said Brian Westbrook one. That's good.
I said Emil Andre before. Like, no. We got to think birds right now. We got to think birds. Go birds tomorrow. And it's all about Brian Westbrook. Be West.
I got to tell you, we're not gonna because you just brought up Emil Andre and he's not probably gonna be part of the conversation too much tonight. When's the last time he made a play? When was the last time you were like, nice one, Emil?
I feel like it's been a couple weeks. Like there was a period where I was like, every night I was seeing Emil Andre do something where I was like, wow, that guy is just consistently doing something cool. I can't think of it right now. And I gotta say, one of the big problems going into this game tonight was all the guys they were missing. We were talking about it in pregame.
Sure, absolutely.
The injuries are tough for sure, especially going up against a red-hot Tampa Bay Lightning team. And I think Emil Andre is missing Jamie Drysdale right now because together, those guys were really good at pushing the puck up the ice. And, just the offensive opportunities. Well, you might just look at this game and you might look at the shots on goal and say, well, the Flyers were right there neck and neck with the Lightning. The Lightning they were so good at taking advantage of every opportunity they got. Every time they got a puck with a goaltender and they were alone with the goaltender, they took advantage of it every time. And the Flyers, while they got 20 shots, they're not getting those quality opportunities like the Lightning and capitalizing on them like that.
Yeah, I would say through 40 minutes, this game was fairly even. It was
really only 3-1.
It really just became an S show in the third, and listen, outside of goaltending variance, the Flyers were right there with Tampa through 40 minutes. There was a point in the first period where they went 10 minutes without allowing Tampa to get a shot. They held them to 23 for the game. I thought it wasn't, especially for the first two periods, the worst game. You could have used a little more oomph on offense. Obviously, you could have used a couple of saves, but really, it was kind of it was physical, but outside of that, kind of just a tight, somewhat boring game outside of the physicality and the chippiness of it. It was kind of just evenly matched. All right, these two teams are both playing okay sort of game, and then it just really falls apart in the third. And I guess we need to get to the point of the show tonight, because this is what we're doing. It's tonight's game changer, driven by Elkin Chevrolet. Together, let's drive. And once again, I have to apologize to our friends at Elkin Chevrolet. Just because tonight's game changer presented by Elkins does not put Elkins at fault for the performance of Sam Ersson, because he is certainly a game changer, and not in a good way, Steve. You see his numbers tonight: a sub 700 save percentage, 7 goals on 16 shots, allowed goals on 2 of the first 3 shots he faced. That second one, he really just needs to find an angle to cut that off. Like, come on, man. I know it's Kucherov, but like, that's not an angle from which a ton of goals are scored. That was horrendous. And honestly, I want to say I can't blame him for the first or the third one. The third one's weird. It just kind of, that's the slam dunk, I think. Like, all right, whatever. It's bouncing puck, bad turnover. The first one, though, yes, don't leave Nikita Kucherov alone in front of the net. If Mishkov had been on the ice during that, when it's like, oh man, everyone just kind of started going up the ice before we broke it out. I wonder if anyone's going to get benched for that. Sure, that's all bad. You know who knew he was there, though? Sam Ersson. Sam Ersson knew Kucherov was there and sees that puck coming across. Get your stick out. Dive at it. Throw your glove at it. I don't care. If that puck gets there, you have to have the self-awareness. You have a 0% chance of making a save against Nikita Kucherov. If Kucherov didn't have a stick, it would still be 50-50. You have to do something to stop that from getting there.
You said throw your glove at it. So you said throw your glove at it. I'm wondering if the Flyers might have the backup goaltender solution in-house already. Scott Hartnell is known for throwing his glove at the puck. Call Hartsey up. He can play backup 10D. Let's do it.
It would be hard to believe he could be worse, Steve.
I mean, these are some of the worst numbers I've ever seen from a backup.
I don't want to totally absolve the team in front of him. Like, that first goal, Tippett and Barkey combined to turn a puck over that should have easily been broken out.
And Cam York should have seen Kucherov. Like, Kucherov is not a guy that you should ever have alone.
Just kind of, you know what? You don't need to be in that situation. Kucherov's out there. You're matched up against him. You don't need to join the play up ice. You can be slow getting back, and you see the type of night he had. 2 goals, 4 points, a ridiculous night, and under 15 minutes of ice time.
That's insane.
That's really something special there. There was one of the goals, I think the fourth one. Mishkov doesn't get a puck deep, and then they break it in. Like, it was just plenty of bad stuff happened in front of Ersson. Absolutely. But he's never an eraser. He never, like, there's no point in having a goalie. It's like, oh, well, they had a high danger chance. What can you do? Make a save. Make a save is what you could do. And he just doesn't ever. It's getting to a point where I think this is out of hand now with Sam Ersson, Steve. I looked these numbers up. 60 goalies have started at least 50 games since 2023-24. You want to guess where Ersson's save percentage ranks among those 60 goalies?
I'm going to guess dead last, number 60.
He is dead last. He is 60th with an .894. That was coming into tonight. He didn't do anything to improve that. He's now .893 since 2023-24. He is still dead last amongst every goalie who has played at least 50 games in the last, 2.5 seasons. He's not an NHL caliber goaltender. Maybe he eventually becomes one as he ages, and then you know what you do? You tip your hat and say, Anthony Stolarz, I didn't think you could ever do it. Good for you. Like, good job. And still Stolarz can't stay healthy. Like, but regardless.
Who could have predicted that one?
Here. Like,
who also can't stay healthy?
This is pointless. I guess if you don't want to bring up Kolosov and you don't want to trade for a backup, I guess. But, like, what is this? What you're going to throw away every game if he's in net. The team has to play perfect in front of him if he's going to be in net.
I was also looking up the stats for, just goaltenders to see how bad his save percentage was. And this is without the stats updated for tonight. And with goaltenders of 10 plus starts, he was the fourth worst. And that was before this. So below him is your old pal, Peter Mrazek, who I know you love. 858, 10 starts. Frederick Anderson with an 866. Levi Merilainen, who's with Ottawa, had an 867. And then Sam Ersson with an 868. Yeah, I don't know. This is not elite company to be with. Frederick Anderson, a couple years ago, really, really solid tandem goaltender. Not so much the case now. And Ersson, man, like that's just brutal. And it's killing the team at this point to see him out there. You made a really interesting point a few minutes ago when you talked about his lack of aggression. And you could see that on a couple of the goals. Like if he was aggressive on that first goal, I think he can stop that. I forget which team, the Flyers played a team this year where in the shootout, the opposing goaltender was super aggressive and it threw the Flyers off big time. And it was like a big difference maker for him. And there was another Lightning goal. It was the Goncalves goal late in the game where if Ersson is Goncalves made a great move on that. Like it was a really good move, a really good feed from Kucherov, but Ersson could have just taken the puck away from him while he was making that great move. And instead he really just retreats back into the net and lets him make that move. If he does a little poke check, that puck's not anywhere near the back of the net.
The retreating into the net is seriously an issue. Like, you're not big enough to play that deep, dude. You need to be aggressive, and he just isn't. Like, if he's going to figure it out at the NHL level, it isn't going to be here, and it isn't going to be anytime soon. And that's what makes him tonight's game changer, presented by Elkin Chevrolet. We're going to talk more about the goaltending situation on the other side. But right now, we have to take our first break. All right, it's time for me to tell you about Xfinity and the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. What if I could offer you reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? Well, that's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Imagine Wi-Fi that makes everything in your home work together and that fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Imagine Wi-Fi that lets you stream the game even when the whole family's online and has all your devices working in perfect harmony. And imagine all that for 5 whole years. And the best part, there's no annual contract, no hidden fees, and Xfinity's best equipment is included. Take it from me, a lot can change in 5 years. Championships are won, records are broken, but your Wi-Fi, it should stay reliable and the price should stay put. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities with Xfinity. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only, restrictions apply. Let me tell you how my morning starts each and every day. It starts at my Wawa. Now, this might be an ad read, but everyone watching right now knows how much I love Wawa. And Wawa has given us yet another reason to love them. It's the $5 big breakfast deal. For just $5, you can get any Sizzly breakfast sandwich, any size hot or iced coffee, and a hash brown every morning from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. That's right, a breakfast Sizzly, a coffee, and a hash brown for just $5 from your local Wawa. That's value, that's convenience, and that's deliciousness all together in one deal. And while you're picking up your coffee, check out the brand new Caramel Chocolate Craze coffee flavors. You could try caramel, try chocolate, or mix them together for a sweet treat that will start your morning off right. The $5 big breakfast deal is for a limited time and exclusions apply. See Wawa.com for details. All right, Steve. I want to keep harping on this goalie thing for a little bit because
Let's do it. He deserves every bit of it tonight.
I just don't. And listen, I can't say the team was like awesome tonight. I think they were okay. I think they could have won if they got like an awesome goalie performance and a couple of guys stepped up. And I don't want to, again, I'm not trying to absolve the rest of the team. They need to be better. They're missing guys. It's tough. Tampa's really good. You needed to find a way to scratch one out. And it's much like the Toronto game the other night, you didn't. You had an opportunity. There was an opportunity there. It's not like Tampa played their A game tonight, at least through the first 40 minutes. And then they just absolutely took over in the third. But you failed in figuring out a way to stay in this one, like you failed in figuring out how to grind out a game at the end last night or 2 nights ago. But the goalie situation, if this team is going to make the playoffs, we've been talking about the power play issue and how, listen, yeah, I think right now that's their biggest need,
Well,
along with backup goalie.
Bill, they got a power play goal tonight, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay?
we'll talk about
they
that
were
a little later.
50% on the power play. I don't see a problem.
That's a nice big LOL from me on that power play goal. Anyway, obviously in the playoffs, it's Dan Vladar, so the backup goalie thing doesn't become an issue. But you got to get there. Just because the East is bad,
Bill. Yeah, that's in theory, because you have to consider, think about the Oilers, right? The Oilers in recent years, they've gotten to the Stanley Cup final, but they've had to alternate goalies like they're the 2010 Flyers, which is ridiculous because they have Connor McDavid. But this is you never know if there's going to be an injury. And if you do make the playoffs and you have to rely on Sam Ersson to be the starter because Dan Vladar gets hurt or something, or Dan Vladar gets hurt down the stretch when you're trying to make the playoffs, that is unfair. We've talked a lot about moves being unfair to the team when they're trying to make the playoffs, right? Or lack of moves. Like when they traded Sean Walker, that could have been seen as unfair to a team that was in playoff contention, but it was a move they had to make at the time. And then when we were talking before they signed Christian Dvorak to an extension, there's a lot of talk about how the locker room would perceive such a move, trading a guy like Dvorak who's been integral to the team. In fact, I think he was wearing an A tonight, right? Dvorak is just a guy that they love on this team. But I think it's unfair to this team at this point, if you really are dedicated to making the playoffs, to keep marching Sam Ersson out there as your backup goaltender every few games, because they have to have him marching out there. You can't just have it all in Vladar. And it's just ridiculous to have to see this and expect to make the playoffs, because you cannot have Vladar play every night. You just simply can't.
No, we might be in uncharted territory with Vladar. Maybe he steps up and is good enough. I was starting to not even get worried. It was just, all right, let's see how he responds after the Ducks games. I didn't think he was very good in that game. He only allows the 2, but I thought he was shaky. They got some posts. He got a little lucky. And then he came out and played really, really well against Toronto. So maybe he is able to just double his career high in starts. Maybe that's a thing that won't be an issue, but there's no way to know. They're just going to have to do it, because you can't just put Ersson out there. That's not an option.
No, it's not an option.
More than once a week. Once every other week. Right.
Our producer Tyler dropped a little stat over in the our little chat here for StreamYard. Said of goalies who have made at least 15 starts, Ersson is 44th in goals above expected. Goals saved above expected at -5. Every other goalie below him, except Joonas Korpisalo, has made at least 21 starts. So it's just really bad. You can say he's better by the numbers or better than the numbers, but can you really at this point? Because the numbers are pretty lousy. And when you see what he did tonight, there were so many goals that I know he would wish he had back, but it just sucks. And one of the, it's really interesting that we get this home and home, but both games are home for the Flyers with the Lightning. Yeah. Where they get these back-to-back home games, the duplex, right? So we'll presumably see Vladar on Monday night. So, and you might also have Travis Konechny, maybe Bobby Brink back in that game. So you could have some big difference makers, but I'm really interested to see the difference in Vladar against this Lightning team versus what we saw with Ersson. And I imagine that Vladar's going to look a lot better, because when Vladar hasn't had these games where everything just crumbles around him. He's had games where he hasn't been that good, but he'll still be pretty steady. And Ersson, as we've seen this over the past couple of years with Ersson, he'll have these games where everything just falls apart, and it is disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely. And, JJ did say tonight, I think Ersson has kind of had some bad luck just in terms of, the team, how they play in front of him and everything on any given night. And you look at Vladar's numbers and how much better they are. Maybe there's something to that. But at the same time, maybe they play differently because they know the guy behind them can't make a save. I know they come out publicly and say they believe in him and they like him a lot as a person, but they have to know deep down he's not very good. He's got an .858 save percentage. There's getting unlucky, and then there's stopping 86% of the shots, which he has stopped somehow less than. Like I really don't know what else to say other than that when it comes to this topic. All right. Let's go to a different thing then.
You
Because
can only harp on it so much, Bill.
well, you can't beat the horse. Like you killed it once, you can't kill it again. You know.
Well, that was like watching the game tonight. It's the old Simpsons clip where it's like, "Stop it! He's already dead." That was the
I was
Flyers,
like
but
at
the
one
Lightning
point
kept piling it on.
I was just finishing the instant reactions, and Ava's like, "Oh, they scored again. Aren't you gonna?" I was like, "I don't care. I just got to finish writing this, and we got to do post game. This they give up 5, they give up 7. It doesn't matter. Like it's very much over at this point."
Well, you know who I'd love to talk about, Bill? I'd love to talk
Okay.
about a guy who we have harped on a lot this year and finally got on the score sheet. Gart Angry himself, Garnet Hathaway, finally scored a goal.
I love it because he is tonight's unsung hero, presented by Togo. Togo, the leader in operations outsourcing. Let Togo handle the work that gets in the way of your work. You call the plays, we execute. Togo. Yeah, it's Garnet Hathaway, goal number 1 and a fight tonight. He was leading that 2-on-1 with Delorier. And I was like, this might be the most special Gordie Howe hat trick ever if he scores his first goal of the season, gets in a fight, and then assists on his line mate's first goal of the season. That would really be something. It was not to be. But I got to tell you, since he's come back, I have liked Hathaway's game a lot more. Now, he gets on the board tonight, but really it's just him looking like himself. And if they are going to match Tampa's physicality and depth on Monday, it'll help if they get, Brink and TK back, or even one of them, sure. But if they are going to match their depth and physicality, they need Garnet Hathaway to be playing the way he's playing right now, and not the way he played for the first 34 games of the season or whatever it was. I've liked a lot more what I've seen out of him.
He threw his body around in a noticeable way because, he had a ton of hits in the first stretch of the season, the first quarter of the season or whatever. But like, it was the kind we always called them micro hits with Robert Haig back in the day, right?
Yeah.
Where you weren't really noticing them. It wasn't noticeable. And Hathaway has been doing it in a way where you are noticing him. In that Ducks game, he was such a huge presence. He absolutely bashed a couple guys in that game, and it was awesome. He was throwing his body around in a really effective way today. And he was, that fight was great. And like, it did seem like Hathaway could have been a difference maker in this game. And again, he did get the Flyers the goal to tie it up. So Hathaway he's been a plus. I like seeing this because this is a good fourth liner. This is what you want to see from your kind of fourth line player, a guy who can be a physical presence, who can occasionally score a goal. We're not asking for a lot. We are asking for the occasional goal. This Garnet Hathaway is definitely a guy I like seeing in the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I wanted to make sure we made him tonight's unsung hero, because listen, he does score a goal, so I guess like he put up like a decent counting stat there, but it's his first one of the season, and we've ragged on him so much this year that I did want to point out I thought he especially in the first period, but really the first 40 minutes looked a lot like himself. That third period, I'm just not blaming anyone for anything, because it's like it was a fake period.
It was a fake period as soon as, like when they're down 2, they're still in the game. Okay, fine. And you're also playing against Vasilevsky tonight, right? So it's like you're playing against one of the best goaltenders, if not the best goaltender of the past decade of hockey. So like, that's a tall order, but they're in the game. But then as soon as Ersson lets up that fourth goal, it's done. Game is completely over. But yeah, Hathaway, he threw his body around, 5 hits tonight. Him and Grebenkin both had 5 hits. So there was some physicality out of the team, just not enough goal scoring. But again, they're also down 2 of their best offensive players.
All right. I do want to talk about some of the line mixing and matching we saw tonight. Right now, Natural Stat Trick has 7 different lines, 7 different line combinations. I honestly thought we got a few more than that, Steve. I will say, though, it was a little surprising to see, look at how much he's mixing and matching. Now, he's been without TK for, and Brink, and like, we don't really know what the combinations are supposed to be. And they've had, one practice without all these guys. So, okay, we're going to figure it out in game. But what did you think of all the mixing and matching we saw?
I will give Taka a lot of credit for sticking with lines this year, because Tortorella kind of drove us nuts with all the mixing and matching, just constantly. And, I will say it was a little bit jarring to watch the mixing and matching tonight. I didn't love that. And I was really hoping we'd get to see an extended look at Mishkov with Dvorak and Zegras. And he did play with them, I feel like, for the most part. Mishkov with 17-10 time on ice tonight. So that was nice. He ends up with 2 shots on the ice. And I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about Mishkov in the second half of the show. And, just overall, I would have liked to see some more consistency, but it's hard to complain in just a really tough game where you're down 2 really good players and just trying to figure things out.
Now, I will say the Zegras, Mishkov, Grabenkin line did pretty well for themselves in 6 minutes of time at 5-on-5. Out attempted their opponent 8-5. What was it? Expected goals 63%. Not too bad. Scoring chances were even at 5-5, so that was pretty good. All right, joining us now on the Xfinity mobile call-in line, it is Philly's #1 hockey beat writer, Charlie O'Connor. Hell of a way to spend a Saturday night, Chuck. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, this was a tough game. And on a lot of levels, like the Flyers as a team did not play very well. I don't want to pin everything on Sam Ersson, but let's be honest, the main storyline coming out of this game, it's Sam Ersson. I mean, he makes 16 saves on 23 shots. I don't know if I would call any of the goals he allowed awful, but there are probably like at least 4 or 5 where you're like, yeah, really could have used a save there.
Make a save.
And you're just not getting it. All the players were obviously asked about Ersson. We requested Ersson. We had his name on the board. The team made a decision to erase it, so we did not speak after the game.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to ask. You have to ask for him.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way I look at it is sometimes players want to talk. They want to just eat it. They want to be like, hey, I want to be accountable, whatever. But my understanding is it was not Ersson who declined. It was the team who made the decision to take his name off the board, so we didn't speak. But
I think Markstrom talked the other night after giving up the 9. But it was like, yo, we kind of have to talk to him because he got left in to give up 9.
Yeah.
We need to know what he thinks,
And as I said, like sometimes guys want to talk.
Yeah.
Or sometimes the team, wants to, they talk to the guy, see like, hey, do you really want this? And I don't know what happened there, but we didn't talk to Ersson, but we did talk to his teammates, and they backed him. We talked to Couturier, we talked to Hathaway, we talked to Tippett. I know fans aren't going to love this, but again, you're backing up your teammate. Tippett was like, yeah, we didn't appreciate the the Bronx cheers that he got. He got a lot. The sarcastic cheers were heard clearly and not appreciated by them because they all like Ersson. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. He works hard. They like him, but he's got to play better. I asked Tocchet after the game too. I asked, are you seeing a goalie who's lost confidence? And Tocchet straight up said, yeah. Look, this is on everybody, but Ersson does look like a goalie who's struggling. I think he said, he looks like he's like stuck in the mud right now, but you gotta pull yourself out of it. And we're going to work with them. They have practice tomorrow, work with them in tape study, work with them on the ice and try to get him out of this. But I mean, he's performing statistically like one of the worst goalies in hockey. Like that's an objective fact. And it's not getting any better. It's getting worse. And he's not the only reason they lose this game. Like I think even if Vladar's in the game, they probably lose. They didn't play well enough to win.
But 3-2.
Yeah, like it's not 7-2. It's like 3-2 or 4-2.
Yeah, Chuck. I gave Steve this stat before you joined us. I looked this up during the game. Since 2023-24, 60 goalies have played at least 50 games. You want to know where Ayers ranks in save percentage?
I'm going to guess 60th.
60th. He's dead last. And it went down a point. He was 884 coming into the night, 883 now. I did the math. So
wow,
maybe...
you did math, Bill.
You can do math. I know.
I asked David to do it for me. I gave her the numbers and she figured it out.
That checks out.
Anyway, I'm just at the point where I don't know how you can sustain this. It's not fair to the players on the ice. It's not fair to the fans who paid to get into the building. You're throwing games away. The guy's not an NHL goaltender. Anyway, Charlie, a lot of line shuffling tonight, more so than we've seen, and it kind of happened right away, almost as if it wasn't like, well, this isn't working, I'm going to that. Just kind of trying everybody out with everybody. We started with what we thought we got in morning skate and at in warm-ups, and then all of a sudden I'm like, yo, Zegras is playing center with with Mishkov and Grabenkin. Did something happen? And then it's another shift, and guys are just moving around. We showed on Natural Stat Trick has 7 different lines for the Flyers tonight. What did you make of that?
Yeah, Taka was asked about it after the game because it was very noticeable. It seemed like every shift, I was guessing the coaches were getting a workout, probably having to go up to every player before every shift, like, you're with him, you're with him, you're with him on this time. But Taka was asked about it after the game, and he basically said it was all matchups. He said that, it maybe wasn't necessarily the plan going in, but after the first few shifts, when he sees Braden Point and Nikita Kucherov flying like the way they were, it suddenly became an imperative to, really specifically line match against those guys to try to slow them down. It didn't show any real signs of working in the sense that like it solved a problem. Kucherov had a bunch of points. He gets 2 goals. He was great all night. Point was moving well. The Lightning are just a really good team. Like they're awesome. They're doing this without Victor Hedman and Ryan McDonough. Like they're really good, and those guys like not being in the lineup is not stopping them from going on a 9-game winning streak. Like this Tampa team is really freaking good. They might be the best team in the East, really, especially with the Panthers not at full strength this year. So there's that. But yeah, I think it was really just Taka's attempt to try to mitigate the fact that, number one, Tampa's just better. But number two, the Flyers were missing a bunch of guys who at least would have given them a puncher's chance to win this game. So he was trying to like manufacture a matchup win and wherever he could, and he was trying to do it, and it just didn't work. Like Tampa just outplayed them.
Yeah. That's I thought through 40 minutes the Flyers were okay. I thought they played a decent first period, definitely. Like I don't know if they deserve to be losing after the first period, quite honestly. There was a 10-minute stretch. They didn't allow a shot on goal. Just kind of that's the way it goes sometimes. I wanted to know what you thought of Matvei Mishkov tonight, because I thought he played a really good first period and then kind of disappeared in the second. In the third, he has, I think, on their first goal of the period, doesn't get a puck deep. They break it out, comes down the other way. They score. I thought he really tailed off after the first, but played good in the first. What did you think of Matvei tonight?
Yeah, that more or less matches up with what I thought. I did like his first period, especially in terms of his forechecking. I thought he was really putting a lot of pressure on the puck. He was breaking up breakout attempts. He was looking very active, very energetic, very engaged. As the game progressed, I think he tailed off. It's a bummer because he was getting an opportunity to play largely with Trevor Zegras in this game, and that's probably temporary because the Dvorak, Zegras, Konechny line has been so good that presumably when Konechny comes back, they're going to put him right back up there, justifiably so. It's been a great line. So this was very much a maybe even 1 game audition with him and Zegras, which is something obviously a lot of fans really, really want. And I'd love for it to work too. It's a high upside tandem, whether Zegras is a center or on the wing. These are 2 highly skilled offensive players. I was hoping it would work better than it did. I don't think it was bad. I actually thought that the Mishkov, Zegras, Grabenkin line, may have been the team's most effective line, especially in terms of consistently creating offensive chances. They were on the ice for that 1 goal though, which again, Mishkov is part of it, but everybody was part of it. And look, I don't want to single out Mishkov. Like Zegras had a terrible turnover on another one of Tampa's goals. Like everybody struggled in this game pretty much, with maybe the exception of Garnet Hathaway. But yeah, he wasn't amazing. No one was amazing. It just felt like it's a bummer because it felt like this was an opportunity for him. And while I don't think he fell flat on his face, he didn't seize it. And it's going to give the coaching staff, particularly Rick Tocchet, if they are looking for reasons not to increase Mishkov's usage, they're going to point to this and be like, well, we tried and it didn't work,
Yeah. And injuries were a huge part of the game tonight. I think a big part of the Flyers losing this game was just missing all those guys out of the lineup. And I know they missed them all, but do you think there's anybody they missed more than the other out of those 3 guys they were missing?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a really, I'd have to say Konechny, just because he's been hot. He's been scoring goals again. The finishing touch is coming back. And this was a game where, especially with the way Ersson's playing, you were going to have to outscore him. You were going to have to outscore his issues. And while, look, Brink's a solid player, Drysdale's been really good at 5-on-5, they would have helped. Konechny has the ability to rattle off, 2 goals and 2 assists in a game. And then maybe, instead of being down, what were they down? 2 goals going into the end of the third? It was 3-1. Maybe it's 3-2. Maybe it's 3-3. And then because and Tocchet said this after the game, and I totally agree with him. A couple of the other players said it too. The third period, it was a disaster. They give up a bunch of goals. They played poorly. But a lot of that comes from the fact that they're chasing the game. Like they're chasing the game against a team that is really talented and thrives in transition, in punishing you for your mistakes. If it's 3-3 or 3-2 going into the third and the Flyers maybe aren't taking as many risks, I don't think they allow 7 goals because they're playing a more controlled game because they know they don't have to push it as hard as they did in the third period because they're already down 2. Konechny's the kind of guy where, even when the team's struggling, he can do something. He's good enough to do something on his own, have an individual effort and score a goal. They were missing that, especially on a night where like Zegras wasn't at his best. Michkov was fine, but not incredible. Like they weren't the guys they looked to for offense. Tippett, I thought, was okay. He obviously gets the 1 power play goal, but like he didn't have one of his like, and Tippett put the team on his back games either. Konechny could do that, and he wasn't there to do it.
That goal, I'm so mad about it. Honestly, it is the fakest goal ever scored. There was a glitch in the Matrix. Anyway, do you have anything else? I don't even know what to ask about this game. It was just like, there's a bunch of stuff that didn't go right, but really, I don't know what to tell you. When the goalie allows 7 goals on 23 shots, like that's basically the game.
Right. And you wonder how they're going to bounce back because they got to do the same thing again in 2 nights. Maybe with Konechny back in there, that would be really nice. Do you have any updates on any of the injured players right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, good news today because you had both both Brink and Drysdale skating at morning skate. They were wearing non-contact jerseys, but that's a good sign. It's a good sign that they're skating, especially Drysdale, the fact that he's on the ice. Now, it seems like, he's on IR, Drysdale is. So, they got to wait 7 days, but it doesn't seem like any of them are that far away. I mean, look, concussions are weird. Maybe symptoms will pop up later when they exert themselves more, and that could throw a wrench into the whole thing. But it seems like it's not terribly long-term for any of them. Konechny's day to day, Brink's day to day, Drysdale probably a little bit longer just because like the severity of the hit and how dangerous it looked. You obviously want to give him a little bit extra time just in case. But Taka did say today after the game that we're hoping we might have a few of those guys back for the rematch on Monday. So it seems like he's optimistic that at least they might be getting back 1, maybe 2. Who knows? Maybe 3. Why? I guess not 3 because Drysdale with IR. So I don't think they could bring him back even if even if he is cleared. But maybe they get back Brink and Konechny. Maybe they just get back Konechny. But it doesn't seem like any of the absences are going to be too extended, which is certainly good news for Flyers.
I did have one more thing, Charlie. I just thought of it. Rasmus Ristolainen, when he came back off IR, he looked solid. He looked really good. He looked to be picking up where he left off. He was noticeable. He was physical, killing plays left and right. I feel like these last 2 games, he's been actively bad. My question for you is he purposefully tanking his trade value because it's too early to get hurt again?
Oh, God. No, I do not think that's what's going on. But no, one thing I did worry a little bit about Risto this season, especially with the injury, is that I was worried that, especially coming into the season midway, not having a full training camp and not having the start of the year, I was worried that it would take him some time to adjust to the changes in system with the new coach. Because if you remember, that was something that other teams were worried about going into last year's deadline. It was like they were worried that if they traded for him at the deadline, like he wouldn't start to really grasp their system until the following season. They were a little bit concerned that it might take him more time than it takes a lot of other players to really pick up the intricacies of a system. I wonder if that maybe is what you're seeing here, where he's being asked to do different things than he did under Bradshaw and John Tortorella, and this is a little bit of an adjustment period for him. First few games, you're going on adrenaline. You're just happy to be back. He was throwing hits. He was engaged. Now we're getting into the playing well on a daily basis type of thing, and that might be where the details of a system are hurting him because he just doesn't fully get it yet to the degree that he got the Tortorella system because he played in it for years.
All right, Chuck. This is up to you. Do you want to do 3 stars? We don't have to.
I'll do 3 stars, sure.
Let's get to Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game. Good effing luck, bud.
Yeah.
Who's
This
number
is
3?
Yeah, this is a tough pick. 3rd star, I'm going to go with Nick Delorier because number 1, he didn't do anything actively bad, and he actually finished with the highest expected goal share, 5-on-5 on the Flyers per natural stat trick. So Nick Delorier, your 3rd star.
You know what?
Kilo, baby, let's go.
Good for him. Charlie, who's star number 2?
Star number 2, I'm going with Owen Tippett. Look,
sure.
The goal was fluky. obviously it was a classic like Russ Tyler knuckle puck. Just really, really fluky. But I will say that I thought even before that goal, I thought he was skating well.
He made some plays.
He made some plays. I thought he was assertive through the neutral zone. Rick Tocchet actually singled him out after the game as like one of the bright spots that that he was. I just feel like over the last 2-3 weeks he's been more assertive with the puck. He's trying to like go through guys rather than like stay on the perimeter. It seems like he is making a point to be more actively engaged in games and to try to make things happen to get himself more actively engaged in games. And I thought tonight was just another example of him trying to do that. Was he perfect? No, because nobody was. But he got a goal and made some plays. And in a game like this, that's enough for second star.
All right. Who is tonight's first star of the game?
Yeah, this is easy. It's maybe the only guy on the team who played well, Garnet Hathaway. Hathaway, he's 2/3 of the way to a Gordie Howe hat trick 8 minutes into the game. Like you can't pin any of this on Garnet Hathaway. He was playing hard, and look, I give the guy a lot of credit because what do you go 35, 36 games without a point. He's getting killed on social media. He gets scratched. Like people are giving him up for dead. And to his credit, he just, just kind of put his head to the ground and just worked. And I asked Tocchet after the game, like, how did he pull himself out of this? Because he does basically now look like the Garnet Hathaway from last year and the year before over these last few games. And he just said, look, he was just a pro about it. He was obviously disappointed when he got scratched, but he went to me and he's like, what do I got to do? I'm going to put all the time in. I know what I've been doing isn't acceptable. I know I'm not playing as well as I can, and I want to get back there. Just said, look, he was a pro about it, and now he's seeing the reward. So in a game full of a lot of negatives, I am happy for Garnet Hathaway. He's a guy I like covering. I've enjoyed watching play. He's fun to watch when he's doing these sorts of things.
Yep.
And over these last few games, he's back to looking like that guy who was legitimately one of the enjoyable parts of watching the Flyers over the last few years. It looks like he's at least getting back to close to there. And it was nice to see him get on the board. Garnet Hathaway for a star.
All right, those are Charlie O'Connor's 3 stars of the game, and that has been Charlie O'Connor at the Xfinity Mobile Arena on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line. We will talk to Charlie again on Monday. See you then, Chuck.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, we will come back. We will take some of your super chats. Well, we'll take as many super chats as there are. I don't know if anyone's spending any money after that game, but we'll see if there are any. We'll talk about a few more things regarding this game. But now we got to take our second break. All right, I got to tell you about Monarch because we all know how stressful the holiday season can be. Travel, gifts, hosting, entertaining, you name it. It's easy to lose sight of your money and financial responsibility this time of year, and that's why Monarch has been a game changer. You can see all the travel and gift expenses add up, and you're just going, how did I spend this much? With Monarch, you see exactly what you spend, and you see exactly where you could be saving. You'll never need to touch another spreadsheet again. You'll never leave money on the table. And when you're making good money, it might be a little easy to get complacent. Monarch will stay on top of you. It was named the best budgeting app of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal, and Monarch gives your partner full access to your shared dashboard, including linked accounts, budgets, goals, and spending activity, all in one place at no extra cost. So if it's you and your significant other, you can both stay on top of your money with Monarch. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code PHLY at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHLY. Now I got to tell you about branded bills. That's right, hats just like this one. I am a big fan of branded bills hats. I wear a ton of hats. Well, I have fallen in love with these branded bill snapbacks we have at all PHLY, but whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitteds, beanies, or even tees, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. If you're looking for some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. Start your order and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. They have a partnership with Penn State as a part of their campus collection as well. Our producer tonight, Tyler, wears that hat all the time and it's freaking gorgeous. All of their stuff looks great. Check them out. Head to brandedbills.com and use code BBPHLY for 15% off your first order. All right, welcome back, Steve. Gotta just check here what we're doing next as I vamp. Oh, yeah. The power play. That legitimately pissed me off that they score. Of course, it's 5-1. It's 5-1, and then they score a power play goal. And of course, it's Owen Tippett, his second power play goal of the season. But no, that's not enough. His second power play goal in his last 135 games. Now, the power play
fake.
is not.
That sounds so fake to me that there's no way that can be real, and I know it is. It's unfathomable that a player of his offensive talent has gone 135 games.
2 power play goals in 135 games. They're both this season, but he's back
on the power play all the time.
Yeah.
Like he's never been off the power play.
The final 15 games of 2023-24, he had 0. All of last year, he had 0. And he has 2 in 42 or 43 games this year. Yeah.
Awesome.
Rough.
But like hilarious goal because Dvorak wins the faceoff, right?
Yeah.
And when Tippett initially, he fires off a slap shot immediately, and you think it gets blocked, but it's only partially blocked. And then it's in slow motion. It flips over and over. Vasilevsky clearly just doesn't know where it is.
The way it happened was so, the way JJ reacted, the way everyone on the ice reacted, Vasilevsky, it felt like an actual video game glitch. Like, it was just like everyone stopped for half a second and then the puck flutters in and then everyone goes, oh, what? Like, this power play, listen, they only had a few opportunities. That was, what would they have? 2 opportunities tonight?
2. 50% tonight, Bill. 50%.
It's not like that's what lost them the game. I did, in fact, think the first power play they looked okay. For them especially, but they had Zegras and Mishkov back out there together. That has to remain a permanent thing, I think.
I want him playing with some offense. I want Mishkov playing just with some offensively talented guys more often. Like, we got to get him back clicking. It worked for Konechny. They put him with Zegras, and it worked. I feel like, and again, if Konechny's going to be back, I don't think they're going to break up that line, but I would love to just see him with somebody that can maybe get him going, because I just don't think it's going to be Couturier or Cates or any of those guys. Like, the thing is, you have a lot of very good players, but I don't know. I feel like you're thin as far as like the actual offensive, like, game changers out there. And especially on a night like this, when you're missing both Brink and Konechny, it's tough.
No, absolutely. Before that Owen Tippett goal, Steve, the power play had gone 4 for its last 46. That's horrendous.
That's
under 10%. Like, it's really unbelievable how bad this power play is. And you look at that, you look at the backup goaltending spot. That's a lot of points being left on the table. All right,
that
Steve,
is a lot of points, and it makes a difference in a 2-1 game like they lost earlier this week with Toronto.
I know we just came back from a break, but we got to play some catch up. So the whole thing, the whole format of the show is just thrown off. But
Sam Ersson's
do not
fault.
worry. Do not worry. We will be back in just a short minute after our final break. Listen up, Philly sports fans. It is the season of gifting, and if you're looking for something truly unforgettable this year, I've got the perfect idea. You've got to check out the incredible work from Philadelphia sports artist Jordan Spector over at SpectorSportsArt.com. I personally own one of Jordan's pieces myself, and trust me, these aren't just posters you hang on the wall. These are museum-level artworks of the greatest moments and icon in Philly sports history. His collections come in prints, canvases, and even athlete-partnered trading cards. And get this, one of the newest cards actually includes a piece of Brandon Graham's real game-worn jersey from that matchup in New Orleans. You know, the big one against Kansas City. It does not get more authentic than that. So if you've got a diehard sports fan in your life, or you just want to treat yourself, this is the kind of gift that they will talk about forever. So head over right now to SpectorSportsArt.com. That's SpectorSportsArt.com and grab something epic for the Philly fan in your life. Everybody's got their favorite hard tea. It is the cool thing right now. But if you ever turned the can around to read what's inside, well, most of the time you can't because the others won't tell you what their tea is made of. And while others hide what's inside, Crooked Tea brags about what they've got because Crooked Tea brews real USDA organic tea for real flavor with zero sugar. There's no fake junk hiding behind the label. What you see is what you drink. So next time you're at the store, flip that can. And if you can't find the ingredients, just put it back on the shelf and then grab a Crooked Tea, zero sugar, real tea, and fully transparent. Philly recognizes real. Don't drink that fake stuff. I just served a bunch of these at a holiday party I had. They were a huge hit. People love them. They come in a bunch of flavors. I'm partial to the raspberry. Check out what suits you best and crack one open. You know what you're getting because it's all on the can. Why drink the fake stuff? Crooked Tea. The only thing better is a strip sack in the Super Bowl. Visit crookedtea.com to find a store near you. Go Birds and let's go Flyers. Steve, as before we get to Super Chats, so the Flyers do this all over again. Same team, same time, same place on Monday. Are you worried that this could be the start of the decline, or do you think what we've seen the last couple nights is just like, I don't know, they couldn't put away Toronto. They're missing some guys. Tonight just gets away from them. The backup goalie's in. Like, I have been talking for the last week about, hey, man, the path to the Eastern Conference Final isn't there's no Colorado in their way. Let's put it that way, you know?
But there might be a Tampa Bay in their way.
This isn't exactly the Central with Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota all sitting there. Like, you could get the second seed. You could even challenge for the division if you go on a little run. Are you starting to worry that this is like the beginning of the decline or just a little bump in the road? And this is kind of what the NHL is this year. Hot and cold streaks.
You never know with these Flyers, to be honest with you, because we had this 2 years ago. I know they traded Sean Walker and everything, but like, you never know with this team because I've been trying to figure out if Dan Vladar is the real deal. I've been trying to figure out if the offense is the real deal. I feel like it's a bump in the road. I mean, you've got Tampa Bay who's red hot. Like, Kucherov is unbelievable. He put up 4 points tonight. He was clearly the main driver of offense for that team all night. So I'm inclined to say it's a bump in the road. I really want to see how they look if they get Konechny back and Vladar's in net, if they have a chance. Like, if they can even get to overtime and get a point, I feel like that's a big difference maker. And I was going to say it gets a little bit easier later in the week looking at the schedule, but then I realized that Buffalo ain't that bad now because Buffalo was real bad to start the season, but then Buffalo in the past 10 is 9-1-0.
Yeah, they've won like 13 of 14 or something.
Yeah. So this week they've got Tampa Bay and then they've got Buffalo and Pittsburgh on back-to-back nights. And then they've got the Rangers at home where the Rangers are somehow way better away than they are at MSG. So I would say once they get past Tampa Bay, like even if Buffalo is hot, I still think Tampa Bay is a much tougher team ultimately. So if they can get out of this week winning 2 or 3 of these games, I feel a lot better. But I really wish they'd won that Toronto game. That Toronto game really bugged me because they should have won that. But yeah, I think missing 3 key players, especially Drysdale and Konechny, that's my bigger factor. And man, I just keep remembering that Forrester's out and like that power play with Forrester was so much better. And God, that's such a what if on this season right now.
Forster hasn't played since December 1st. He has 3 power play goals. That is second on the team still.
Yeah.
To Trevor Zegras. The NHL schedule is such that everybody plays everybody. It's really long. It's 82 games. You think it all evens out, but a big part of it is when you play people, when you play teams. That Toronto game the other night, they blew it. Toronto had also not lost in regulation in, I think, 7 straight. They were 5-0-2. That made them 6-0, and like they had points in 7 straight. That made it points in 8 straight. And this one, Tampa is just on a freaking heater. This was their 9th straight win. And you see Buffalo, man, you just think of Buffalo like, just go take care of business. Well, they're playing the best hockey they've played in a long time. So hopefully they can figure that out, and hopefully they can maybe even things up with Tampa on Monday. All right.
The last thing I want to say on the schedule before we get to Super Chats is I really want them to get some points out of this week because then they have another road trip out west with Vegas, Utah, and the best team in the NHL by far, Colorado. So take care of business this week, boys. Get some dang points.
All right, let's hit those super chats. Let's see what we have tonight. First one is from JH. Awfully lonely on the Ersson Pearson bus tonight. Shaban Nolan showed us the future from the press box. What was up in the? Do you know what he's referring to?
I have no idea what he's referring to.
I don't know.
Yeah, somebody find out. But I don't know. But yeah, it is lonely on the Ersson Pearson bus tonight because Son of Ayers did not show up. It was just not a good moment for him at all.
I'm out. I no longer am like.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's an NHL goaltender. Like, I don't know. Yeah. 2.5 years, and he's got the worst save percentage in hockey over that time, and it's going down.
And like, you look at his game log, right? And like the teams he's got above 900 against in the past like month are Chicago, Buffalo, the Islanders, and Pittsburgh. Actually, that's the entire season. That's who he's had 900 plus save percentage against in games this entire season.
That whole season, yeah. All right, let's see who's next. It's David Shub. Can any of our top six a top six with this power play? Can we call any of our top six a top six with this power play? I mean, yes, because they're producing very well at 5-on-5. Like, that's the thing is I looked it up the other day when I did that whole show on the power play. They're 14th in goals per 60 at 5-on-5. They're top half of the league. It's when they're on the power play, they're just not any good. I don't understand it at all, Steve. It's mind-boggling.
And the coaches have to figure that out. The coaches and Danny Briere, be it through a trade or what, but like they got to figure something out because again, you can't expect to make the playoffs and have a power play this bad.
All right. Next one here is from Dylan Forster. Any more hits to his numbers and he won't even get an AHL contract and be back in Europe with Sandstrom sooner than later will help him. Love the guy, but he carries over the Torts chaos era. Yeah, I just think he's not any good. I just think he's not a very good goalie.
Yeah, how many times can you say he was better than the numbers before?
At a certain
You're just
point,
lying to yourself.
And you know, like I hope he's better than his numbers because 858 is like. You know how much better than your numbers you'd have to be even considered okay if you have an 858 for the season? Like, I don't like. Oh yeah, like a guy with 1 foot could put up an 858.
1 foot. Like last year, you can say, all right, all three guys aren't that good, but also maybe the defense isn't that good if these guys are putting up terrible numbers. You can make that argument last year. You can't make that argument this year because Dan Vildar's got very good numbers with the same guys every night.
There is a direct contradiction right on the same team. All right, let's see here from what's this?
Chili Coth.
Chili Coth.
Chili
can
con
we send
cookout.
Ersson straight to Reading?
Chili cookout.
Yeah, chili con cookout. If they waived him, no one's picking him up. Like I don't want to see Kolosov up, but I don't know what you're getting to a point where
I go on waivers and claim the guy with the worst save percentage of everybody with 10 plus starts in the NHL. Should I or should I not?
I mean, maybe if it's like your team's overperforming and you're really hoping for a lottery pick.
Yeah, like maybe if you're the owner from Major League or something and you want to move.
No, if you're Rachel Phelps, you should absolutely consider Sam Ersson. All right, let's get another one in here for Mellerman. What's up, Mel? Sam's reads have been a problem. NHL goalies must play with anticipation. You can't watch the puck and react. Tonight he was guessing on where plays were going instead of reading what he was seeing, and that's he's just kind of following Kucherov on that one goal where it's I think Kucherov's second goal. He's just kind of following him, and all of a sudden the entire side of the net is open. Like. How are you gonna let him score over there from here? Like it didn't make any sense, and that seems. I don't have the goalie eye like Mel does, but that's exactly what we're saying.
Yeah, I mean, we both saw the aggression, the lack of aggression there.
Before we get to the rest of them, we got to trigger overtime. Head to allphly.com to continue watching today's show. Tonight's show, I suppose.
Day, night, who's to say the difference there? I know Ron Hextall is like a blacklisted name in the city, but can we call him in to just give Sam Ersson some aggression in goaltending? Because that's one thing that I'd love for him to get.
I'll tell you, like not having Heiskanen or Makar or even Pettersson still bothers me. but I think what he did to Pittsburgh started to even it out. Like, there might just need to be more time, but I think we can make amends with Hexy. Do we have any more, Tyler? Oh, it doesn't look like. Oh, okay, there we go. From David Shub, Ayers should be an actor. He's too pretty for hockey. That might be. He might be too handsome.
The flow's fantastic. He's got outstanding next level hair. So yeah, I mean, maybe he should act. I think so, or model.
Yeah, or model. Yeah, whatever. Actor / model. Maybe start a rap career, perhaps.
Just a double threat at everything but hockey.
Yeah. From B More 613. Every time I get too excited about this team, they bring me right back down to earth. I mean, this is kind of if you look at teams' game logs, this is kind of the season everyone's having. Like, Tampa had a 7-game win streak, then they were bad for like a week and a half. Now they've won 9 in a row or whatever it is. Like, you look at Buffalo, like, are they even in a playoff spot yet? And they haven't lost in like a month.
I'll look that up. But like, I'll say, if you had listened to pregame, we would have told you not to be excited about this one, because like, I think the Flyers were already doomed in this one because Tampa Bay came in hot.
Yeah.
And on top of that, the 3 key players being injured is just such a huge factor, because like, Konechny's been just on a huge tear for the past month and a half playing with Dvorak and Zegras. I think I pointed this out. It was like, he's had 9 goals since he joined that line, and he had 5 goals before that. So like, Konechny missing that offense is a big factor. Brink is a very offensively creative player. You know, having I know Delorier had a shot at a 2-on-1, but that's like giving a dog a car. He does not going to know what to do with that. You know, like, it's just ultimately not a productive thing. And Buffalo is now tonight they are in a playoff spot. I think earlier today they weren't. Right now they are.
Yeah, it's like, I just coming into this one, there's the injuries to think about. Ersson is starting, and not only is Tampa awesome, they're playing really well. They're red freaking hot. This never had anything good written all over it. I joked off the air before we started pregame they were going to lose 7-1. Well, it was 7-2. All right, I think we have one more super chat, Tyler says, and it's from Obi, and he just says, "Go Birds."
Go Birds, baby.
That's what I want to close on tonight, because as much as I love the Flyers, playoffs are what matters most, and we got playoff football tomorrow. So go Birds indeed, Obi, and go Birds to everyone. That is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers postgame presented by Bet365. Thank you all for listening. Thanks for hanging out. If you haven't already, you got to hit that subscribe button, follow us right here on YouTube, and maybe hit the likes. We want the likes. So hook us up with a few of those as well. Follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers, and follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers, and check out Flyperbole too. Steve does a pretty great job over there, as does everyone at BSH. All right, I am Bill Matz. That is Steve Jacot. Thank you to Tyler for filling in on production tonight. Till next time, be excellent to each other.
We all silly like the